Hello, everyone. Today we'll look at getting macroeconomic data from International Monetary Fund database, IMF. We're looking also at briefly analyzing the macroeconomic status of one of the countries. We focus today about Qatar. We're looking at getting data, macroeconomic data about Qatar, Zimbabwe, and also looking at briefly about changes, improvements. We comment briefly on the data. Okay, let's start. So you access all you need to do is just access International Monetary Fund website. You could Google it, IMF, and then you go to data. And then you need to click on IMF data portal. Click on World Economic Outlook 2024. Now we look at data by countries. Looking at Middle East and Central Asia. So you could clear all, and then you could look for, since you're looking at Qatar, you go for Q, and then you'll be able to find Qatar here. So click Qatar and then continue. We have the first category, you have national accounts. So national accounts, you have gross domestic product constant prices, national currency, gross domestic product constant prices, percentage change. So we click on this one. So this is economic growth. Yeah. You have also gross domestic product current prices, US dollar. Click on this one. So this will give you economic growth. This will give you the volume of GDP. You'll have also, we're looking at, we're not going to look at everything. You could look at also, ah, gross domestic product per capita, US dollar. So this will let you about the distribution, or let's say the average, talk about the population and the share of the wealth, talking about, let's say, income in that country. Also, we look at inflation, average consumer prices, percentage change, looking at the inflation rate. In terms of trade, um, let's look at percentage change, volume of exports of goods and services. We have population is essential. And then let's look at general government revenue, looking at, so that's national currency. Okay, let's take it as a percentage GDP, general government revenue, percentage GDP. You have general government total expenditure as a percentage GDP. Um, Looking at general government net lending borrowing, percentage GDP. Uh, if you're going to analyze the data or go through any econometric modeling all the time, remember you need to have this kind of consistency about what kind of variables or data, talking about transformations. If you can have all the variables in an equation as a percent of GDP, so this would be better because in this case you see this kind of, let's say, consistency and no transformation required. But if you have like GDP, and then you will have continuous values of, let's say, GDP and other indicators. So in this case, you need to go for transformation, looking at a logarithm. Um, okay, we have also general government gross debt. Of course, you have here definition for each one of them. So you can just look at definition, and then you have um, current account balance. So look at current account balance. Let's look about this as a percentage GDP. So you got a lot of these figures, and then you have the years. I'd like to look at, of course, if you're looking at here, it says 29. So let's look at 29. Let's look at from 1980. But remember, any figures after, maybe after 2023 are estimate figures, so they are not actual figures. You need to please pay attention to that. Okay, prepare report. Download report. Okay, the first thing you see here that we have some missing data from 1980 to 1989, and then you'll have all the data, and then it'll tell you here um, estimate figures after 2023. As I said, so in this case, looking at this data, even 24, these are estimate figures. So okay, so let's have a quick look at, let's say, um, gross domestic product. You see here, you see the growth in terms of GDP. Remember, these figures are, I tell you here about the units. Um, these are percentage, so negative years uh, indicate, let's say, the economy is contracting. Okay, so let's go to 2023. You see that you have variations, you have improvement. Uh, yeah, 2020, 2022, 2020. So you see 2020, you got negative 3.5. So remember also you need to remember to take account into any shocks, like we had the coronavirus, so economy shrinking for that year, and then you'll have economic growth continues. Also, you need to look at the world economy, global economy, and what's going on in the world economy. Of course, about the purpose of the research, what you want to study. So that will give you indication. So you see the impact of the pandemic, COVID-19, in a reduction, negative growth in terms of 2020, but the economy went back and is growing. Um, we have these figures estimate, as I said, after 2023. Okay, so that's good. And then we have US dollars in billions. So you're looking at in billions again. Let's go back to 2023. So we're talking about 213 billions. So uh, so a little bit of reduction. Talk about again global economy issues you see here. So economy 2018 183 billions, went down slightly to 176 billions, and then 2020, so you see that significant reduction, 144 billions, compared to highest 235.7 billions. So we see the economy is robust. We see economic growth. We see positive growth in the economy. We have also per capita, looking at US dollar. So in this case, you're looking at, let's go back to, so you see development, uh, you see looking at, let's say around 30,000, 40, we see positive growth in terms of GDP per capita. Let's look at the impact. So it was 2018, 66, around 66,000. 2018 reduction, 2019 63, and then to 50, down to 50 2020, and then resume back. And you see that in 2022 reach 80,000 a year per capita. We're talking about let's say average gross domestic product, talking about reflection of let's say standard of living in a country, which is fantastic. We have around 70,000 in 2023. Let's look at also, in addition to income, you need to take advantage to look at, consider inflation as well. So inflation rate, you see inflation rate, again, let's go back. You see inflation rate is under control, stable, negative figures, deflation. We have also 2019 coronavirus. We have deflation 2019 and also 2020. You could say that due to reduction in, let's say, aggregate demand. Also, that will look at also the impact of international demand. We have increase in inflation rate 2021, 2020, 4 point around 5%, 3%. Yeah. So in this case, you see inflation rate is well controlled and also something that will allow customers, producers to be happy. We have also volume exports of goods and services. So since talking about Qatar is one of the crude oil exporting countries, so that will have an impact, massive impact. So if you look at again 2019, 2020, 21. Okay, so looking at volume exports of goods and services, so that's percentage change. So in this case, you look at increase. So that'll give you the link here about the changes in. So you see here, since you're talking about major exporting of oil and gas. So see, 2019 you see reduction. That will tell you about how the economy shrinking due to reduction in exporting. Also, we've got that reduction 2020, also 2021, and then we see a surge in that 6.5, yeah, 6.5. We see also reduction here, but let's talk about how the economy is linked to exporting. Say we have still a little bit of dependency about export and how the international demand will have an impact on the economy as a result. So you see that reflection in economic growth and GDP due to changes in the volume of exports. We have population-wise, we're looking at millions. So in 2014, so looking at the population of Qatar, says around reach 3 millions in 2023 is around 2.9 2022, and then you're looking at population um, reduction 2020 and 2021. So we see the country is um, having um, positive growth in population, which is something positive for country with high GDP per capita. We have also, as I said, this not deep analysis, just a brief analysis about the situation. General government revenue as a percentage of GDP. So you'll see that um, is 32%. General government revenue. Yeah. So as a percentage of GDP, 33%, 32%. Yeah. Um, if we come to look at government expenditure as a percentage of GDP, so let's have a look. So 27%, 24%. So the government has got um, good revenue and they can intervene in the economy, decreasing government spending to simulate economic growth. So we see in previously, so you see in the back in 1993, so you see government expenditure percentage was high due to continuous development and improving the economy and talking about infrastructure and also infrastructure and work in terms of development and building country. Now the country is rich, is really good stage in development, um, having good infrastructure. So you see that um, government expenditure is less than before. We have also general government net lending, borrowing, say, so there's a percentage of GDP. So, want to tell me what do you think? So you see here is 5.5%, 10%. Yeah. So again, during the high peak, uh, let's go this era. You see, like 2004 had let's say 100%, but you see here in 2024 talking about net lending borrowing is low. Um, talking about general government gross debt and okay, general government gross debt as a percentage of GDP, you see is 43%, 42%. We see um, is stable. Is if you talk about 40%, you're looking at most of let's say developed countries. You see they have high debt. If you talk about US, UK, other countries, you'll find general government gross debt is very high, which is really good for Qatar. Uh, current account balance, so this is in US dollar, and forgetting to say that is in billions. So just to know the size of the economy. So 2023 it was uh, um, 36.47 billions. Yeah. Uh, as a percentage GDP, you see it is around, let's say, um, before, if you look at pre-COVID, 3 and 9% and 2% is around 70%, 26%. So in this case, you see that also looking at the fluctuations in um, economic growth during COVID, but you see the economy stable when managed, and also talking about government resources, low government debt. Uh, um, the country is having high um, economic growth, and also high GDP per capita. Inflation rate is controlled. Population growth. Um, we have population stable around 3 millions. So that will give you a lot of indications about the prosperous um, um, economy in Qatar. Thank you so much. Hope you find this video useful.